Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video we're going to talk getting started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Beasts of Chaos and the Quakefray, one of the brand new sub-factions for the Beasts of Chaos. Now in this video we're going to go through talk about what makes the Quakefray special for the Beasts of Chaos before looking at a couple of units we recommend to get started with for the faction. We'll then take a look at some other units we can use to expand upon after those first couple of initial purchases, and finally finish off the video with a little sample armor list of 750 points for you to use as some inspiration for starting your own Beasts of Chaos army using the Quakefray sub-faction. Now, with that all said, we get the Living Idiots of Ruin rule, where friendly Quakefray Sigor units gain the Priest keyword. And in addition to friendly Quakefray Sigor Priest knowing the following prayer, they get this one in addition to any others they would know. The prayer itself is called Earth Shatterer. It has an answer value of 3 and a range of 12 inch. If it's answered, you pick an objective within range and visible to the chanter, and each unit within 6 inch of that objective suffers D3 mortal wounds, and until your next hero phase, when determining the number of models in units that are contesting said objective, that number of models must be halved, rounding down, though this prayer has no effect on Beasts of Chaos. This is pretty cool. First of all, it is in conjunction with the fact that Sigors and Gorgons are both battle-line and can be set up in ambush for the Quakefray as well, which is super fun. And so, where to begin with this? I like the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, and in particular at the moment, I think there's one thing I like with him in conjunction with the Sigor. So the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth can use the current season's spell to target an objective and do D6 mortal wounds to all units within range of it. You can add this on top of the Sigor, doing mortal wounds on that to potentially do D6 and D3 mortal wounds, and also halve the amount of wounds on that before moving on to the objective later in the turn. I think this is a nice little combination with the two units, and the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth himself is a pretty solid fighter unit. 10 wounds means it's not a Galatian champion, so it's going to be, you know, a thing if you use this instead of, say, the Doom Ball that we'll talk about in the next slide. You will not have a Galatian champion, but really you're playing this Monster Mash army. It is always going to have issues with Galatian champions in it. Now, on top of that, though, you do get a nice Cracking Bolts missile attack for 12 inch, 2d6 attacks, 3/3 round 1, damage 1, and your axe has 5 attacks and damage 2, which is pretty solid. Beneath the Tempest, at the start of the combat phase, it allows you to roll a dice for this unit, and on a 2+, you can heal up to D3 wounds, and in addition, until the end of the combat phase, you roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inch of another friendly unit with this ability. On a 2+, that unit would suffer D3 mortal wounds. Sign of the Primordial Scorn means that on a 4+, you ignore the effects of spells or abilities of endless spells that target you, and you have your own endless spell for Summon Lightning to heal D3 wounds to a friendly Thunderscorn unit. Now, to go along with this, obviously, we're going to want to take Sigors. Sigors are where, you know, all the special rules for this sub-faction are focused around. They're pretty nice. You've got 16 wounds on the model, which is really fun, along with a decent combat profile available to you. This combat profile with your massive horns will have 7 attacks hitting on 3s and have a nice damage of 2. Your Desecrated Boulder as well is a giant rock you can throw for 12 inch, hitting on a 3+ and a flat damage 5, potentially squishing enemy wizards straight out of there. Soul Eater allows you to unbind 2 spells as if you were a wizard, and in addition, each time an enemy wizard within 30 inch of any friendly units with this ability successfully casts a spell, and that spell is not unbound, the caster will suffer a mortal wound after the effects of the spell have been resolved. Now, this is pretty cool. On top of this, don't forget we are going to be a priest in this subfaction. This means we can get access to a bunch of different generic prayers, as well as the special prayer we get for playing in this subfaction. Now, if we look at some other units to bring in, the other unit that can become a battle line in this subfaction is the Gorgon. This is much more combat orientated and less sort of support orientated than the Sigor. It's got 16 wounds, and its Butchering Blades have 7 attacks hitting on 4s but wounding on 2s, and its Maw has 2 attacks that wound on 2s as well, and has a ton of damage that can come out of this model. Swallow Whole allows you to pick 3 models within 3 inch, and you roll and effectively eat them whole, which is really cool. Feast on Flesh, where you can improve the range characteristic of these units' melee weapons by 1 until the following combat phase, and in addition, until the end of the following combat phase, if any enemy models are slain by attacks made by this unit, you can heal up to 3 wounds, which is pretty cool. Now, the Doom Ball is the other character I would look at. You could potentially start with that if you're wanting a Galatian champion, as this model does fit the build for that. It is less than 10 wounds. Now, he has some cool rules where he's got the Alpha Charge, where he does some mortal wounds on the charge. Blood Greed allows if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon by this is a 6, it does a mortal wound in addition to any other damage. And Slaughter is cool as a command where you can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. Unit must issue the command, and the unit that receives it must be a friendly Warherd unit within 12 inch of an enemy unit and more than 3 inch from all enemy units. If you do so, you can attempt to charge. This could potentially give you, you fail to charge, a second chance to get a charge in. On the same thing, Bulgurs are a unit you could bring in alongside him. These are your standard, monstrous infantry style unit you have available to you. They've got Warherd Charge, where they can do some mortal wounds. They have their Great Axe being Rend 1, and Horns are now damage 2 on them, which is really cool. Blood Greed is the same rule the Doom Ball has as well. Now, the Standard Bearer also allows you to reroll their charge, which is pretty cool for them as well. Lastly, we have Dragon Ogres. If we've talked about the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, then let's talk about Dragon Ogres a little bit. They bring a nice elite unit, so they've got the elite unit keyword, meaning they can have commands issued to themselves despite not having a champion model. The Beneath the Tempest rule is the same as the Dragon Ogre, so they can potentially heal themselves and also deal damage to units around them in the combat phase. And the Storm Range, if they make a charge move, if the unmodified hit roll for a 6 is an attack from them, they automatically wound the target on the turn they charge, which is really cool. And so here we have our sample army list for the Quakefray. Now, we're from the mortal realm of Gur, playing in the subfaction. Obviously, our grand strategy is take what's theirs, meaning we're trying to have more of our units in our enemy's territory than they have theirs. We're a monster mash army, so we're just trying to smash things. Triumph is bloodthirsty for rerolls to charge. I particularly like that. Now, our leader is a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth General, and he's got the command trait Master of Magic for that nice little reroll in there on his magic as well. The artifact we've gone for is actually the Brave Blast Trumpet to potentially summon a unit of Gore, Ungor, or Ungor Raiders to the table, giving us some bodies. And his spell is called Hailstorm. This is a spell that can potentially halve the movement of enemy units around him, which is a really cool, nice utility. We do have monsters, but we're not the fastest of monsters, and we don't have access to fly, so this can be particularly useful for catching enemy units. Now, battle line wise, it's pretty simple. We've got a Sigor who's got the Prayer Curse. I think the mortal wounds with the amount of attacks we can get out of this model, considering Curse is in addition, is pretty cool. And then a Gorgon as well, and everything can be wrapped up in a battle regiment because both the Sigor and Gorgon become battle line units for it. 725 points out of 750 means it is a decent chance we're going to get that Triumph. No reinforced units, no allies, and 42 wounds on the table is pretty nice for 3 models. Everything in that one drop, as mentioned, thanks to the Battle Regiment. If you've got some ideas on how you want to run your Quakefray, let us know down in the comments below. And so that is the end of the video. We hope you all enjoyed the video and you got something out of it as well. If you did enjoy it, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And while you're at it, why not drop a comment down below letting us know your thoughts on the video's content. Also, if you'd like to come and chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Sinful Gaming, we have a Discord server which is linked down in the video's description. Also down in the video's description is the best ways to help support the channel if you would like to do so. We have Patreon and YouTube members, both linked down in the video's description, and you'll get yourself a little shout out just like these people here are going to in just a second. But also, if you'd like to grab some merch to help yourself and get something in the same time and help the channel, you can do so either by our Teespring or by the Ko-fi store. As a special thank you, I said, to our Patreon and YouTube members, thank you to Christian Weir, Soren, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Thie, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Anthony B, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domain, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Bloobs, Benjamin Swallows, Red Martin, Iron Grinch, and Nicholas Conomos, and to our YouTube members as well, Green Roots Gaming, Ronya, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Revenar, Pink Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, Monty's Tabletop Terrain, John Castle, Davis Wire, James South, and James Tillman. Thank you all so much for helping support the channel. Lastly, a special thanks to Lady Witchbox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you see on the channel. Thank you all once again for watching. Stay safe, stay well everyone, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.